Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be going over some basics of our electrical system. And as you can see here, it was a bit crowded. So we're going to simplify everything down to have a nice, tidy, clean electrical system by removing anything we don't need. Sven has a background in electrical engineering, which really helped us out a lot for this. As you can see, he's really confident with all the things he's doing. Which first was going through our main wiring harness from the back of the bus and identifying the wires that we did not need to those emergency lights that we're not allowed to use, and the interior lights which we're going to replace in the future, which all in all ended up constituting about 2/3 of all of the wires that were originally in the bus. So we were able to thin down a lot of those wires and make everything a lot simpler. And you can see what Sven is doing here is just snipping down those zip ties that are holding this wiring harness together and starting to snip out any wires that he knows are extra, and then tracing back those wires to our main control panel, seeing where they originate, and then eliminating from there as well. And some of these wires, such as the one that ended up being to our lighted stop sign, sent us on a bit of a wild goose chase, and we had to go crawling under the bus, but it was a bit of an adventure. And you'll see if you look closely at our control panel why it's so important to trace each wire back individually, because there are maybe a dozen wires that could potentially be the same thing and have the same color, width, and that kind of thing. Then once all the cables were thinned out, of course we had to remove everything from the bus that was extra. Sven wrapped everything up really nicely, and we have a bunch of cables that are worth, maybe a couple $100. And this is how our main wiring harness looks now that it's thinned out, as opposed to this section that still has all of the original wires in it. Here are 2 full boxes of wires and cables that we removed from our electrical system. Next, all of the remaining wires had to go inside this 1/2-inch wire loom, and this was a split wire loom, and Sven just kind of shimmied the cables in there down the driver's side of the 40-foot school bus. Finally, for those last few cables that Sven was still unsure of, he used the bus's manual to trace down what they could be and where they led. And you can see here how much simplified the control panel really is. And Sven went ahead also and put that wiring loom around a lot of the wires coming from here to make everything cleaner and simpler. We also put another wire loom that was a 1-inch diameter down both sides of the bus. This was to contain all of our wiring for our internal lights and that kind of thing that we have yet to put up. Since we aren't yet fully decided on the interior layout, we decided to put this electrical system running through the sides of the bus so that it could be adaptable to whatever we decide later on. And then because we didn't know exactly what our needs were going to be for the electrical on the interior of the bus, we put a placeholder cable through the wiring loom, and we did this by using a vacuum to suck the cable through. And that was a fun little method that we learned when we were converting our Sprinter van.
Is it there? Yes, okay. It's in your bag already. Alright, that's it.
And Sven did that on the second side as well.
Works fantastic.
Now Sven uses a box cutter to cut holes in the tube so we could have that cord exiting at every position where we might want a wire to go. Now you can see that everything is clean and pretty, and it's right in place to have all of our needs hooked up to our electrical system. And next week I'm going to show you how we did all this lovely framing, so subscribe and stick around for more.